Hello friends and welcome to Study IQ. I am Joycey Joy and today in this lecture we will discuss about the state of democracy in the world 2018. So this index report is titled as Me Too Political Participation, Protest and Democracy, and this was released by the Economist Intelligence Unit or the EIU. So we will discuss all the details about the state of democracy in the world 2018 report published by EIU or the Economist Intelligence Unit in this lecture. Let us first understand what is this report all about. So the Democracy Index 2018, it is a report which measures the state of democracy or the status of democracy in 167 countries. So the survey is conducted on 5 parameters in 167 countries and it measures what is the state or the status of democracy in this 167 countries, and accordingly ranking is given to this 167 countries. And what are these 5 parameters? So the first parameter is the electoral process and pluralism. So how election takes place in a country, the process of conducting elections and pluralism. This is the first parameter. Second one is civil liberties, the freedom of the individual or the citizens of the country. Now third parameter is the functioning of government or the government mechanism. So how well does the government function? How does the organs of the government function? So it is the third parameter. And fourth one is the political participation. And fifth one is political culture. So these are the 5 important parameters based on which the survey or the index is prepared, and it measures these 5 parameters in 167 countries and accordingly ranking would be given. So as we have discussed in the beginning, this is published by Economist Intelligence Unit or the EIU. This is very important because you might have seen repeatedly in the UPSC Civil Services preliminary examination that at least one report has been asked in the exam. So who is the publisher of the report has been recently asked for many years now. So this is a very important report, that is Democracy Index Report of 2018, and it is published by the Economist Intelligence Unit. So remember this name. Now briefly about the Economist Intelligence Unit. It is a global team of economists, industry specialists, policy analysts and consultants. So what is the objective of this team? It produces data, research and also analysis on everything from national elections, international trade, food security, sustainable cities, etc. So you must understand that their area of research or the scope of their research is not restricted only to elections or democracy, but it also conducts research and analysis on various issues like international trade, food security, sustainability of the cities, etc. So these are the facts that you must remember about Economist Intelligence Unit or the EIU. Now moving on with the highlights of the report. Let us understand what are the highlights as provided in the State of Democracy in the World 2008 report. Now, based on the status of democracy in a country, the index classifies countries into 4 divisions or 4 types. The first one is full democracy or complete democracy. Second one is flawed democracy. The third one is hybrid democracy. And the fourth one is authoritarian regimes. Now coming to the categories, full democracy means a country that is completely democratic or a country that adheres to all the democratic values. So out of the 167 countries that has been evaluated by the EIU, only 20 countries fall under the category of full democracy. So it accounts for around 4.5% of the world population. And according to the report, at the start of this decade, that is around 10 years back, this 4.5% was 11%. So the population that comes under full democracy has declined over a decade from 11% to 4.5%. And most of this shift has been taken place to flawed democracies. That is the second category. So from full democracies, around 6% has moved to flawed democracies, And flawed democracies constitute the largest group with around 43% of world's population. And around one-third of the world lives under authoritarian regimes, and the majority is in China. So China comes under the category of authoritarian regime. And hybrid is a mix of both authoritarian regime and democracy. So that is hybrid, and these are the 4 classifications according to the report. Now coming to the rankings, the top 5 countries are Norway, Iceland, Sweden, New Zealand and Denmark. So these are the top 5 best performing countries. And here we will see that the Nordic countries or the Nordic democracies continue to top the rankings year after year. Previous years also the Nordic countries were in the top of the list. And this is because they exhibit a high percentage of political participation, robust welfare state, progressive workers' rights and environmental standards. So because of their performance in most of the parameters, these countries top the list. And coming to the bottom 5 countries, the 5 countries are generally war-ravaged nations with high authoritarian regimes. These include countries like Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Syria, North Korea, etc. These are the bottom 5 countries. And the bottommost country is the North Korea, and it is placed at the 167th rank, and it has a score of 1.08 out of 10. Now coming to SAARC countries, among the SAARC countries, India has a rank of 41, Sri Lanka has a rank of 71, and these 2 countries are classified under the category of flawed democracies. That is the second category. So here we must remember that India does not come under a full democracy. It comes under the second category, that is flawed democracy. Now coming to other SAARC countries, Bangladesh has a rank of 88, Bhutan has a rank of 94, Nepal has a rank of 97, and these 3 countries comes under the third category, that is hybrid democracies or hybrid countries. Now other countries, Pakistan has a rank of 112 and Afghanistan has a rank of 143, and these 2 countries among the SAARC countries, they come under the fourth category, that is authoritarian regime. And Maldives, it is not being ranked on the index. Now coming to voter sentiment, voter turnout was on the rise in the year 2018, and this was a result of expression of dissatisfaction with political parties and formal political institutions. Also along with this, the culture of protest is on the rise. It means that the population or the citizens in different countries, they are dissatisfied with political parties and formal political institutions. And also there is a rise of social media, and social media has made a public outreach very quickly and very easily. So this report indicates or concludes that the citizens are turning their anger into action. So when anger turns into action, it will result in many number of protests, and many number of protests were visible all around the world in the last year, and social media has aided this process. So it is an indication of high dissatisfaction of people or the citizens with that of the political institutions in their countries. Now coming to participation of women, many countries have adopted positive political discrimination and quotas for women candidates, and this has made the political process or the parliaments more inclusive. But in case of India, women reservation bill is still pending in the parliament. So we cannot say that we have made our parliament more inclusive. Now, a few examples. Japan has introduced women's quota legislation in the year 2018. And in the Indian subcontinent, Nepal tops South Asia in women's representation with around 33% of reservation for women in the parliament and a record 40% of reservation for women in the local governments. And in case of Bangladesh, Bangladesh reserves 14% reserved seats for women, and Pakistan reserves 17% in lower house and 15% in upper house. But in case of India, the Indian Parliament has not yet passed the bill on reservation for women, and it is high time that Parliament should consider this bill and the bill being passed. So these type of statistics or data can be very helpful for your UPSC Civil Services Mains Examination, if you are writing an essay on women or political participation of women, whether it is a essay question or a GS question, you can quote these examples. Other countries have adopted reservation for women, and in India, the parliament has not yet passed the women reservation bill, and it shows a flaw on the part of the parliament in order to consider adequate representation of Indian women in the political system. So this can be quoted as a very good example. So you can quote this. Now coming to individual parameters, we have seen that there are 5 parameters based on which the report is prepared. Generally, 4 out of 5 parameters has showed a stagnation or an improvement for the whole world. So which is the 5th one? It is the civil liberties. So civil liberties continue to decline. That means the freedom of individuals or the civil liberties continue to decline. Except that parameter, other 4 parameters are either stagnant without any change, maintain status quo, or has improved. Now let us understand what is the case with India. In the year 2014, India has reached highest ever position in the World Democracy Report, and it had a rank of 27. Last year the rank of India was 42, and this year India has improved 1 rank, that is 41. But even though 1 rank has been improved, there is no improvement in the scores. That means last year also the score was 7.23 out of 10. This year also the score remains the same, 7.23 out of 10. So here what we must remember is that even in 2014, when the rank of India was 27, India was never into the list of full democracy. India was always a flawed democracy, that is the second category. So India still continues to be in the second category, that is the mid-range countries which represent the flawed democratic countries. And the highest score for India is in electoral process and pluralism. We have seen there are 5 parameters, and 1 parameter is electoral process and pluralism, and this is where India has the highest score. India has a score of 9.17, and in all other parameters India has a moderate score, and in other 4 parameters India has not crossed the score of 7.5. That means all other parameters the performance is only average. So here lies the paradox. India is the world's largest democracy, but it is a flawed democracy. So this also you can quote when you give your answers on GS papers or when you write an essay paper. So you can mention that India is the world's largest democracy, but it is a flawed democracy. Now let us understand what are the factors that affects the India's ranking on this index. The first reason would be conservative religious ideologies in the country, and it has impacted the democratic performance of the country to a large scale. Other reasons are vigilantism, violence, narrowing scope of dissent, threat to minorities and marginalized communities. So all these have affected India's ranking. This has impacted the civil liberties of the citizens. Now, the attack on journalists are also increasing day by day, and the number of murders taking place in different places on various grounds. It can be on religious grounds, on cultural front, or on journalists, etc. are increasing in the country, and this is also a negative indication. And there is also a limited scope for fair reportage in the Indian media. We can say that the Indian media is only partially free, and it has impacted the civil liberties of the country. So these are the reasons why the score in other 4 parameters except electoral process and pluralism has been less than average for India, and the rank of India remains 42, and India is categorized under a flawed democratic countries category. You can find the PDF of this lecture on my Facebook page, and for any queries regarding your UPSC preparations, you can get in touch with me on my Facebook page, or you can email me at joyce.studyiq@gmail.com. Thank you.